Learn English through stories. Intermediate English. The last leaf. On a cold brick wall, an old ivy vine clung to life. In a small studio nearby, a young woman tied her fate to its final leaf. The question wasn't just about the survival of a vine, it was about the survival of hope. This story may change how you see hope forever. Read along to find out what happens next and improve your English in the process. Winter in Greenwich Village. In a cosy corner of Greenwich Village, two young artists, Sue and Johnsy, shared a small studio. Their windows overlooked a brick wall where an old ivy vine clung tightly. But as winter approached, a cold stranger named Pneumonia crept into their lives, touching Johnsy with his icy fingers, leaving her weak and frail in her bed. Johnsy's last leaf belief. Johnsy lay still, her gaze fixed on the vine outside. When the last leaf falls, I must go too, she whispered, her voice barely audible. The doctor had told Sue that Johnsy had lost her will to live, and her chances were slim unless she found something to hope for. Sue's heart ached with worry. Sue tries to cheer. Nonsense, Johnsy, Sue said with forced cheerfulness, bringing her a bowl of warm broth. Think of all the beautiful paintings we still have to create. But Johnsy just shook her head slowly, counting the leaves that remained. There are only 5 left now, she murmured sadly, refusing to eat or drink. Meet old Berman. Downstairs lived their neighbour, Mr. Berman, an old painter who had been talking about his future masterpiece for 40 years, but had never started it. He was a fierce, grumpy old man with a flowing white beard, but he had a soft spot for the 2 young artists who lived above him and saw himself as their protector. Sue begs for help. Finding Berman in his studio, Sue tearfully explained Johnsy's strange and dangerous idea. She says she will die when the last leaf falls from that vine. I don't know what to do. She won't listen to me. Sue's voice trembled as she spoke, her fear pouring out in a rush of desperate words. Berman's outrage. Berman scoffed, his eyes red with unshed tears. What foolishness, he roared, his voice thick with his German accent. To die because leaves are falling from a vine. I have never heard of such a thing. Why do you let her think such silly thoughts? He was angry, but underneath, he was deeply concerned. Night of the storm. That night, a terrible storm raged. The wind howled, and a cold, persistent rain beat against the window panes. Sue drew the curtains, trying to shield the sight from Johnsy. She feared that by morning, every single leaf would be gone, and with them, Johnsy's last thread of hope would be torn away as well. Opening the curtains. Johnsy's voice was a flat whisper. Open the curtains, Sue. I want to see. Sue hesitated, her heart pounding with dread. She feared the vine would be bare, stripped clean by the storm. With trembling hands, she slowly pulled the curtains aside, bracing herself for what Johnsy's eyes might find beyond the window. 1 leaf remains. Sue held her breath as the light spilled into the room. Against the brick wall stood a single ivy leaf. It was brown near its stem, its edges fading yellow with decay. Yet it clung bravely to its branch, the lone survivor of the storm's fury. Waiting for the fall, Johnsy stared at the leaf for a long time. "I thought it would surely fall during the night," she said quietly. "I heard the wind. It is still there. I suppose it is waiting to fall today, and I will die at the same time." She closed her eyes, resigned to her fate, but a tiny flicker of wonder remained. It clings through night. But the long day wore on, and through the twilight they could see the lone ivy leaf still clinging to its stem against the wall. And then, with the coming of the night, the north wind rose again, while the rain still beat against the windows and pattered down from the low Dutch eaves. Change of heart. When it was light enough the next morning, Johnsy commanded that the shade be raised again. The ivy leaf was still there. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at it. Then she called to Sue. "I've been a bad girl, Sue," she said. "Something has made that last leaf stay there to show me how wicked I was." Will to live returns. "It is a sin to want to die," Johnsy continued, a small smile touching her lips. "You may bring me a little broth now, and some milk with a little port in it." A while later she said, "Sue, some day I hope to paint the Bay of Naples." The will to live had returned, strong and clear. Doctor's verdict. The doctor came in the afternoon. "She's won," he told Sue, taking her hand. "With good nursing, you'll see a change for the better. Now I must see another patient downstairs. His name is Berman. Pneumonia, too. He is an old, weak man, and the attack is acute. There is no hope for him. Berman dies." The next day, the doctor returned with a grave look on his face. He confirmed that Johnsy was out of danger and would make a full recovery. But then he delivered the sad news. Mr. Berman had died of pneumonia in the hospital that morning. He had only been ill for 2 short days. Sue shares the news. Later that day, Sue went to Johnsy's bedside. Johnsy was knitting a bright blue scarf, looking almost like her old self. "I have something to tell you, Johnsy," Sue said softly, taking her friend's hand. "Mr. Berman died today. He was a very good man, and we will miss him dearly." Clues of the night. Sue explained what had happened. The janitor found him on the morning of the first day, helpless with pain. His shoes and clothing were wet through and icy cold. They couldn't imagine where he had been on such a dreadful night when the storm was so fierce and the wind howled so loudly. Lantern, ladder, brushes. "And then," Sue continued, her voice growing thick with emotion, "they found a lantern, still lighted, and a ladder that had been dragged from its place, and there were also some scattered brushes, and a palette with green and yellow colours mixed on it, left behind on the floor near his bed." Masterpiece revealed. "Look out the window, dear, at the last ivy leaf on the wall," Sue said, her voice trembling. "Didn't you wonder why it never fluttered or moved when the wind blew? Ah, darling, it's Berman's great masterpiece. He painted it there the night that the last leaf fell. It was his gift to you." A painted leaf saves. Johnsy looked at the painted leaf, a perfect work of art. The colours were so real, the details so precise. It had fooled her completely. It had saved her life. Old Berman had finally painted his masterpiece, not on a grand canvas for the world to see, but on a simple brick wall for one person's hope. Strength in the snow. Weeks passed, and the first snows of winter began to fall, blanketing the city in white. Johnsy grew stronger every day, her laughter once again filling the small studio. The painted leaf remained on the wall, a constant reminder of sacrifice, friendship, and the incredible power of hope against all odds. Remembering a hero. They often spoke of Berman, not with sadness, but with deep gratitude and love. He was no longer the grumpy, failed artist from downstairs. He was their hero, the man who had painted his soul onto a brick wall in the middle of a storm, giving his own life so that Johnsy might live hers to the fullest. Bay of Naples begins. One day, Johnsy pulled out a large canvas and began to sketch the outline of a beautiful, sun-drenched bay. "For Berman," she said to Sue, her eyes shining with purpose. She would paint the Bay of Naples, not just for herself, but in honor of the man who taught her that a single act of creation could be the ultimate masterpiece. A lasting symbol. The last leaf never fell. It became a symbol for the whole neighborhood, a testament to a grumpy old artist's selfless love. And in the studio above, two friends continued to paint, their lives forever changed by the masterpiece on the wall, a single leaf that carried the power of hope and sacrifice. What about you? Johnsy believed she would die when the last leaf fell, but it wasn't true. Her fear was only a superstition, yet that single leaf gave her hope. Berman's sacrifice reminds us, survival isn't just about the body, it's about the spirit. You are what you believe. What about you? Have you ever discarded a false belief and found new strength? Share in the comments. Your story could give someone hope. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more fun English lessons.